We talk so much about age gaps like they're the deciding factor in attraction, but here's the truth. Connection runs deeper than birth years. What really pulls someone in has nothing to do with how many candles were on your last birthday cake. It's about qualities that make someone want to be near you, listen to you, and choose you again and again. Confidence without arrogance is one of those qualities that people can feel before you even open your mouth. It's the way you carry yourself, the steady posture, the relaxed shoulders, the calm and deliberate movements that tell the room you know who you are. It's not about being the loudest person or the center of attention. It's about being comfortable enough in your own skin that you don't need validation to feel valuable. You walk in without the need to impress, yet somehow people want to know more about you. The air around you feels settled, not frantic, and that's rare. People gravitate toward that because it makes them feel calm too. It's knowing that your worth isn't measured by who notices you, but by how you see yourself when nobody's watching. And when that quiet self-assurance shows, it draws others in without you even trying. This kind of confidence doesn't come from having all the answers or being perfect. It comes from knowing you can handle not having all the answers. It's the ability to admit when you're wrong without feeling small, to ask questions without worrying if they make you look inexperienced, to laugh at yourself without embarrassment. That's the kind of confidence that says you're secure enough to be human. People can sense when you're not performing for approval, and that makes them want to trust you. Arrogance tries to prove something, but real confidence doesn't need to prove anything because it's not about comparison, it's about inner steadiness. When someone stands next to you and feels no competition, no need to shrink, that's when they know they can be themselves too. Arrogance will push people away because it feeds on being better than, while confidence invites people in because it lives in the space of, I'm good as I am, and so are you. It's subtle in the way you listen to people without constantly redirecting the conversation back to yourself. It's visible in the way you can give a compliment without expecting one back, in the way you can celebrate someone else's win without it taking anything away from your own. There's no scoreboard in your mind because you're not competing, you're connecting. When you have that, you create an environment where someone feels seen instead of measured, and that's what makes people stay. It's also about presence because someone who is confident without arrogance is fully there in the moment. They're not checking their phone every 5 seconds or scanning the room for someone more interesting. They look you in the eye, they respond to what you're actually saying, and they give you their undivided attention. That presence tells someone they matter, and that's irresistible. People remember how you make them feel far more than what you say, and presence makes people feel important. That's why confidence without arrogance is magnetic, because it leaves people feeling valued instead of judged. True confidence doesn't rush. It moves at a pace that feels deliberate and unforced. You don't feel the need to interrupt or fill every silence because you're comfortable letting things breathe. You know that pauses in conversation aren't awkward, they're space for thought and connection. That calmness makes the other person feel like they can exhale around you. When someone feels like they can be themselves without performing, without having to impress, they're going to want to be around you more. That's what draws people closer and makes them open up. It's important to remember that this confidence is built, not gifted. It comes from doing the work to know yourself, from setting and keeping boundaries, from learning to like your own company so that you're not seeking constant distraction. It grows from taking small risks, failing, and realizing that failure doesn't define you. Every experience you survive adds another layer of trust in yourself, and that's what people feel when they meet you. They feel that you're not pretending, you're not trying to be someone else, you're standing in your own story without apology. When you have confidence without arrogance, you're not chasing people, you're attracting them. They come closer because they sense safety, they sense balance, they sense that being with you doesn't cost them their self-esteem. And that feeling is rare enough that when someone finds it, they don't want to let it go. Emotional safety and trust are the foundation of any deep connection because without them, nothing else lasts for long. It's the feeling someone gets when they know they can speak their truth without being criticized, mocked, or shut down. It's when they can share their fears, mistakes, and hopes without feeling like it's going to be used against them later. You create that safety not by promising it once, but by proving it over and over in how you respond, in how you listen, and in how you keep what they share with you. Trust isn't built in a single moment. It's built in the quiet, consistent actions you take every day. It's in the tone of your voice, the way you ask questions to understand rather than to accuse, and the way you make someone feel like their feelings are valid, even if you see things differently. People open up when they sense that you're not waiting to judge them. They relax when they realize you're not cataloging their flaws or looking for an opportunity to win the conversation. When someone trusts you emotionally, it means they believe you're not going to weaponize their vulnerability. They can tell you about the worst day of their life without worrying you'll see them as weak. They can share the details of their dreams without fearing you'll laugh or belittle them. That kind of trust changes the way people show up with you because they don't have to waste energy protecting themselves from your reaction. Instead, they can focus on being real, and that creates a closeness that surface level charm can't touch. Building emotional safety isn't about always agreeing or never having conflict. In fact, disagreements are where trust is tested the most. It's in those moments that you show whether you can disagree without being disrespectful, whether you can stay present without turning to sarcasm or shutting the other person out. It's choosing to respond instead of react, to pause instead of attack, to understand instead of assume. Every time you handle a difficult moment with care, you reinforce the belief that you are a safe place for someone's truth. Over time, this makes the relationship feel like a space where honesty is not just allowed, but welcomed. Trust also comes from consistency. You can't be warm and understanding one day and dismissive the next. If your reactions are unpredictable, people will hesitate to open up because they never know which version of you they'll get. Consistency shows that you mean what you say and that you can be relied upon, even when it's inconvenient. That reliability is one of the most attractive and reassuring traits a person can have because it tells someone they can lean on you without wondering if you'll pull away when things get heavy. Listening plays a massive role in emotional safety. Not the kind of listening where you're just waiting for your turn to talk, but the kind where you set aside your own thoughts for a moment and really hear what's being said. It's in the nods, the clarifying questions, the lack of interruptions. It's showing that you value what they're sharing enough to give it your full attention. When someone feels heard, they also feel respected, and that respect deepens trust more than any grand gesture ever could. Another part of emotional safety is allowing space for emotions you don't fully understand. Maybe you wouldn't react the same way in their situation, but you can still acknowledge that their feelings are real to them. You don't try to rush them to get over it or minimize what they're going through. You give them room to process, and that patience shows you care about them as a whole person, not just the parts that are easy to deal with. That patience makes them want to keep choosing you because they know you can handle the full range of who they are. When you create an environment of emotional safety and trust, you make it easy for someone to want to be around you. They know they won't have to guard every word, they won't have to pretend, and they won't have to hide the parts of themselves that they're still working on. And when someone finds that kind of safe space with you, they feel a pull that has nothing to do with appearances or age and everything to do with the comfort of knowing they can truly be themselves. Playful curiosity and shared joy bring a lightness to connection that makes it feel effortless, like time speeds up when you're together and the simplest moments become something worth remembering. It's not about forced jokes or trying too hard to be entertaining. It's about having a genuine interest in exploring life together, noticing little things, and finding reasons to smile even when the day isn't perfect. This kind of energy comes from being present, from paying attention to the moment you're in instead of being distracted by what's next. It can be as simple as asking unexpected questions, trying a new activity just for fun, or finding humor in a shared challenge. That curiosity about each other keeps the relationship from becoming routine because there's always something new to learn and experience side by side, and that sense of discovery is what keeps the connection alive. It's easy for relationships to get weighed down by stress, schedules, and responsibilities, but shared joy acts like a release valve. When you can look at each other and laugh over something small, it creates a private world between you where even the outside noise can't reach. Playful curiosity means you're willing to see each other not just as partners or companions, but as fellow adventurers in the same story. You notice the details in their expressions, the way they tell a story, the things that make their eyes light up, and you engage with those things instead of letting them pass by. It's a way of saying, I'm interested in you, not just in what you do for me, and that is deeply attractive. There's a freedom that comes with knowing you can be silly with someone without being judged. You can trip over your words, mispronounce something, or get lost on the way to a place, and instead of frustration, it turns into an inside joke you'll remember later. That kind of comfort builds over time, but it's fueled by a willingness to drop the need for perfection. Playfulness thrives where there's no fear of looking foolish, and curiosity grows when you feel safe enough to ask anything, even if it's a strange or random question. This combination makes time together feel refreshing instead of draining, because every interaction carries the possibility of surprise and laughter. Shared joy also shows up in the way you celebrate the small wins. Maybe it's getting a parking spot right in front of the building, finishing a chore earlier than expected, or finding the last slice of cake in the fridge. Turning these tiny victories into moments worth noticing creates a rhythm of positivity in the relationship. It's not about ignoring life's challenges. It's about balancing them with enough light moments that the tough ones don't define the whole experience. That balance is something people are drawn to because it's rare to find someone who can acknowledge the hard stuff while still protecting space for joy. Playful curiosity isn't limited to activities. It's in the way you communicate too. It's asking, why do you think that? Not to challenge them, but to understand their perspective. It's sharing random facts, telling stories from your past, or wondering together about things you don't have answers to. This kind of conversation turns even ordinary days into opportunities for connection. The more you explore each other's thoughts, the deeper the bond grows, and the more reasons you find to smile in each other's company. There's also a ripple effect when you approach someone with playful curiosity and shared joy. It encourages them to bring more of that energy into their own life, even outside of your time together. They might start noticing small things that make them laugh or moments they would have overlooked before. In a way, you become associated with that lighter perspective. So just thinking about you can make their day feel better. That's a powerful kind of pull because it links you to a feeling they'll always want to come back to. When someone experiences that mix of curiosity and joy with you, they begin to see you as not just someone they like, but someone they want to share experiences with. You become the person they want to tell their random thoughts to, the one they think of when they find something interesting or funny, the person they want standing next to them in the big moments and the quiet ones. And it's that feeling, not just love or attraction, but the consistent pull of wanting to experience life together that makes the connection something they'll keep choosing. Authentic self-expression is the ability to show up as your full self without constantly editing, filtering, or reshaping who you are just to fit someone else's expectations. It's letting your personality, values, and quirks be visible instead of hidden behind what you think will be most liked or accepted. When someone is authentic, there's a natural ease in their presence, a sense that what you see is what you get. They don't change their opinions just to avoid discomfort. They don't pretend to enjoy things they actually dislike, and they don't shrink their excitement to seem cool. This level of openness is magnetic because it signals self-acceptance. And when you accept yourself, You give permission for others to do the same. It shows up in the way you talk about your passions, the way you stand by your beliefs, and the way you own your story without needing to make it look more polished than it really is. Being authentic doesn't mean sharing every detail of your life with everyone, but it does mean that what you choose to share is honest and real. It's knowing that the right people will connect with the truth of who you are, and the ones who don't aren't meant to stay close. People are drawn to that kind of clarity because it's rare in a world where so many are performing for approval. Authentic self-expression cuts through the noise, allowing genuine connection to form instead of connections built on a version of you that isn't sustainable. When someone knows they're seeing the real you, it builds trust because there's no guessing or second guessing your intentions. That trust is part of what keeps them coming back because they don't have to decode your words or read between the lines. They can simply take you at face value. There's a certain strength in showing the parts of yourself that aren't perfect. Sharing a failure or an insecurity doesn't make you look weak. It makes you relatable. It shows that you're not pretending to be above struggle, that you're living in the same imperfect world as everyone else. When you can laugh at your own mistakes or talk about times you've been uncertain, it removes the pressure for the other person to appear flawless. This creates space for honesty and makes conversations richer because they're based in reality instead of image. Authenticity draws in people who value substance over appearances, and those are the connections that tend to last the longest. Authentic self-expression also means speaking in your own voice, not in the version of yourself you think others want to hear. It's choosing words that feel natural to you instead of mimicking the style of someone else, and it's sharing your opinions even if they're not the most popular in the room. This doesn't mean being unkind or dismissive. It means respecting your own perspective enough to give it space. People can sense when you're speaking from a script versus speaking from your own mind, and the latter is always more engaging. When your words carry the weight of truth, they also carry more influence because they come from a place of alignment rather than performance. Another part of authenticity is honoring your boundaries. It's easy to overextend yourself, agree to things you don't want to do, or hide discomfort to keep the peace. But every time you do that, you chip away at your own truth. Being authentic means being willing to say no when something doesn't align with who you are or what you value. It's not about being difficult, it's about being honest with yourself and others. This level of self-respect not only protects your energy, but also signals to others that your yes actually means something because it's not given out of obligation. That clarity makes your presence feel more grounded and trustworthy. Authentic self-expression also has a way of attracting the right energy into your life. When you're showing up as yourself, you naturally repel situations and people that aren't a good match, which leaves more room for the ones who are. It streamlines connection because there's no mask to maintain, no exhausting effort to be someone you're not. People feel more at ease around you because they don't have to guess at your motives or try to figure out what you really think. You've already made it clear. That kind of simplicity and honesty can feel refreshing, especially in a world where so much is curated and calculated. When you live in a way that reflects your authentic self, the relationships you form are stronger because they're built on truth from the start. The other person knows what they're getting, and they've chosen it willingly, which makes the connection more secure. They're not falling for a version of you that only exists in certain moments. They're choosing the whole, unedited picture. And when someone feels like they've found a person who is unapologetically themselves, it creates a pull that has nothing to do with perfection and everything to do with the rare comfort of being around someone who is real. Respect that's shown, not just spoken, is one of the strongest signals that someone's presence in your life truly matters to you. It's not about using polite words when people are watching and then ignoring them when no one's around. It's about aligning your actions with the value you claim they hold. Respect lives in the details, how you listen without interrupting, how you acknowledge their time by showing up when you say you will, how you consider their needs before making decisions that affect both of you. It's in the way you remember the small things they've told you, not because you were trying to score points, but because you were genuinely paying attention. Real respect doesn't just happen in big dramatic gestures. It's built in those everyday moments when you choose to honor their feelings, their boundaries, and their individuality. When respect is real, it's consistent, not conditional. It doesn't disappear when you're frustrated or reappear only when you want something. It's steady, even during disagreements, because you understand that the way you treat someone in conflict says more about you than how you treat them when everything is easy. Respect means you don't belittle their opinions, even if you don't share them, and you don't use their vulnerabilities as leverage. It's about protecting their dignity in every interaction, no matter the mood you're in. That kind of consistency builds trust because it tells them that your regard for them isn't dependent on circumstances. It's part of who you are. Showing respect also means giving space for independence. You don't try to control their choices or dictate how they should think, feel, or act. You encourage their growth, even if it takes them in a direction that challenges your own comfort. You recognize that they are their own person, not an extension of you, and you celebrate the differences as much as the similarities. This level of respect makes the connection stronger because it's based on acceptance rather than possession, and that allows both people to breathe, grow, and contribute their best selves to the relationship. There's also respect in the way you handle communication. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. You think about tone, timing, and delivery, understanding that words can build or break trust in seconds. Respect means you choose clarity over passive-aggressive hints, and you address issues directly rather than letting them fester. It's about being willing to have hard conversations because you value the relationship enough to work through challenges instead of avoiding them. This approach shows that you take the other person seriously, and that seriousness translates into a deeper sense of security between you. Acts of respect often go unnoticed by the person giving them, but they rarely go unnoticed by the person receiving them. It might be as small as giving someone your full attention when they're talking, or as significant as standing up for them when they're not in the room. It's in offering help without keeping score, and in choosing to see their intentions before making harsh judgments.